Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flannel Channel. I'm Philip, glad you're here. Today is one of those funny episodes that we really didn't even plan, it just sort of happened, and ended up having to do quite a bit of engine work on my daily driver. We call this thing Ray because, well, we named it after the pastor that used to drive this truck before my sons and I got our hands on it. It's been an awesome truck, love this thing, but turns out we had some surprising repairs we had to do all of a sudden without expecting it. So kind of a fun episode, and I'll show you all the way through what we had to do in order to get this thing back on the road. I plan to drive this thing for at least another month or so till Curtis Lowe is done. That's going to be my daily coming up. I love old Ford pickups. So follow along. It's a little bit of a vlog style. It's not so much a how-to video, but I show you kind of what I'm doing as I'm digging into this engine and what ended up resolving the problem. So stick around. Here we go.
Well, shoot. I was on my way to my tattoo appointment this morning, but my boys called me and said, Dad, there's something wrong with the pickup. So we're gonna hook up the tow rope and we'll get this thing back to the shop. All right, all hooked up. Here we go. 4 ways on, we'll just take it easy. Car guy stuff, you know. And we're pulling a Ford with an Audi. Because this is what we got. Alright, lesson number 58 of car guy stuff is always keep work clothes with you in your car. Snacks and coffee as well, because you just never know. Tow ropes, hand tools, it's just part of it. Part of what I try and teach all my boys to keep in their cars with them all the time, and sometimes we'll be cold or hot or uncomfortable or in really sketchy, dangerous situations, but part of being a guy. All right, so since I have 3 of my sons with me right now, we're gonna just do a quick diagnosis of what's wrong and how do we figure this out. The basics that every engine needs: it needs fuel, it needs spark, it needs timing, it needs compression, and so we're obviously missing one of those things. We don't know if we had a fuel pump that went out, we don't know if we have a coil that went down, don't know, it was going down the road and it just died, right? That's what was happening. Yeah, so we're gonna yank off a plug wire, see if we get lightning shooting out of it. We're gonna check and see if we have fuel flow, fuel pressure. We'll just go over the basics real quick and figure out what's going on with this thing. So one of the first things that I'm going to check is for spark, and I pulled off our main lead from the coil over to the ignition cap, and I'm going to have Jacob crank it over. I'm going to hold a pry bar just kind of up against the ground, and we're going to see if we get some sparks to jump out of that coil. I don't want to make it jump too far because that's really hard on the coil. See if we can make some sparks jump in there. All right, Jacob, go ahead and crank. Okay. I see no lightning. Okay, next thing we're gonna check is see if we have some fuel pressure. So come around back over here. And I think we have our diagnosis already, but just to kind of double check and make sure that we have some fuel pressure and fuel flow, quick check is back over here. There's a Schrader valve kind of by the end of my screwdriver. I'm just going to push that Schrader valve in. We should get some fuel that sprays out of there. Okay, cycle the key, please. Yep, okay. And that is why I check for spark first and then fuel, because if I check for fuel, sprayed a bunch of fuel everywhere, and then I check for spark and I have spark, that equals fire, and we don't want that. So check for spark first, then check for fuel pressure and flow. So guys, I think we need a coil. So I'm gonna call Napa. We're gonna get a coil coming. Hopefully we have this thing fired up in an hour. Jacob's just checking the Napa website, see if they got an ignition coil for us.
Yep, just like we got one in store.
Nice, perfect.
Sweet.
All right, we're gonna go get it.
it in. Engine bay designed by the Dixie Chicks. Lots of wide open spaces, room to make big mistakes. All right, let's fire it up. See how we did. Go ahead and crank it. Uh-oh. Yeah. All right. That's a problem. Our spinny thing is no spinny. All right. Yeah, that's our issue. Yeah, it's still locked in, so I guess we need to pull our distributor out and see why the distributor's not turning. Ruh-roh. All right, so what I did is I put my timing marks to top dead center number 1, and I made some marks on my distributor where it's pointing, not only where the housing is pointed there, but also where cylinder 1 would be pointing on the distributor itself. So even though we may end up replacing this entire distributor, I want to at least know how I can set my new one in there, and everything should be timed. Yeah. All right, let's see what this distributor looks like when we pull it out there. Come on. Not supposed to come out hard like that. See what this baby looks like underneath. Huh. Well, I was kind of expecting a broken gear. All right, now we're gonna crank it over and see if we can see our camshaft spinning. Huh. All right, here we go, crank. Oh, no, that sucks. Huh. This is why we film all the stupid stuff that we do, because you never know when something might turn into an interesting episode. I have no idea. So the ups and the downs of this, we thought, hey, maybe it'll be something really simple like a coil, and then that turned into, well, the distributor's not turning. Then we pulled the distributor out. The distributor looks fine. It's the cam gear that's not turning, which means the cam's not spinning, which means it's our timing gear. This thing has always been a little bit clattery and noisy. We got this truck after it had been sitting in a tree row for 7 years. So we're not shocked. The timing set is like $100. It's not that big a deal. We love this truck and we're gonna fix it. But this has been one of those mornings that's like up, down, up, down, up, down of emotional roller coaster. But that's real life and you never know what's gonna happen. So you're finding out right along with us what's going on. So I'm gonna start ripping into the front timing cover of this thing. We're gonna get some gaskets coming. We're gonna get a timing set coming, and we'll get this fixed probably by Monday, but yeah. All right, here we go. Awesome. I was hoping to get that loose without pulling the radiator. Woo! Quite as tight as I thought it might be. Good deal. Get a puller on there. All right. Balancer puller's on. Crankshaft is blocked. Let's do this. All right, start pulling. Here we go. Come on. Whoops. Hey, it's moving. Yes. Sweet. That's awesome. And now I can finally fix some of these pesky oil leaks that have been bothering me for a long time too. So, you know, multiple birds, single stone, some, you know. Man, that's gnarly. Yeah. Oh goodness. Wow.
Wait to get these in the parts washer. Yuck. How about now? Come on. Oh, come on. Man, what a battle I've had on my hands. I would have thought a two-wheel drive truck would be way easier to get the oil pan out of, but man, alive. So I got the back of the transmission jacked up and a block of wood on top of the cross member. I have this motor mount out on this side. I have loose on that side as well. And I have the pickup tube out of the way. And it's just been crazy fighting me. So I just keep jacking and jacking, and my intake manifold is up against the firewall. I actually unbolted my transmission from the engine just so I could get that extra 1/4 inch of distance between the two, and I think, maybe I finally got it. I don't know. Let's find out. Yeah, baby! Oh, what a battle that was. But, yep, let me get a light. I'll show you why I took this thing off. I think it was worth it. Take a peek inside our oil pan. Oh yeah. That's why I took this thing off. Chunks of teeth in there. All kinds of debris. Yep. We don't want that. So, it's more than just fixing oil leaks. It's trying to protect the rest of the engine. All right. On to the next battle. This thing is going in the parts washer. Woo! Bolts, motor mount. Everybody in the pool. Everybody in the pool. Let you cook for a while. Whoa. Yeah. That's a dry old gasket. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's a bingo. And there's our problem right there. I believe that they made cast iron timing gears, and they also made like phenolic plastic coated and things like that, but yep, that's why our cam's not turning. Well, I'm getting kind of frustrated because I've used almost every puller that I have available to me in the shop, and nothing seems to want to fit in there. Nothing seems to want to cooperate. And the one that I got the jaws in there pretty well, it just started breaking the gear. So I don't know if I'm just going to start prying on the sucker and doing it the wrong way just to get it off. I don't know. Frustrating. So yeah, pry bar is kind of putting some tension on it, but you know, when you got steel there and plastic, phenolic, whatever they call this stuff there, yeah, it's just sort of flexing and bending. That's dumb. It's the original part. You can see the Ford logo right there. That's what they made them out of, just to try and keep them quiet. Dumb. Well, heat, because you gotta try something. Sometimes friend, sometimes foe. Man. So I'm heating right there around the rim, and look how much that's flexing. That's crazy. But I just can't get any jaws in there to pull on that gear. Whew. Goodness sakes. Well, kind of like I thought, our gear broke. Not surprising, but I've got no choice. Gotta get the thing off. So I think if I can get the rest of it off and out of the way, maybe I can grab on with a jaw puller on the outside of that thing and get that off. Man, oh man. Now, if you're a man, you gotta have a plan. And here's my plan. This gear is moving real nice with the same puller that my crankshaft was pulled off with. That's awesome. Moving real nice and smooth like it's supposed to. This guy right here, I'm going to cut with a cutoff wheel at an angle and get the air chisel it, and that should spread it out, take the tension off,
and we'll be good to go. These 2 bolts and this piece right here is the retainer for my cam bearings, and that's actually keeping my camshaft end play in place. So it's not like I can just back those off and the thing will slide right out. The entire cam will come out, and I don't want to do that. I want my camshaft to stay in the block. So that's why I'm going to cut that snout off. Yep. All right, let's see if it works. Woo! Steamy parts. Nice and clean. All right. Let's cool them down and get them out of there. Cool off, Willard. Oh, this is such a good feeling. I finally got something to cooperate. So I did cut a notch in it to take some of the pressure off, and then I put a 3-jaw puller that just barely got behind the teeth on that cam gear, and it's working. Just a second ago, I got that really nice pop sound that you get when you're using a puller and it starts doing its job. So, great news. Almost there. So finally ready to clean up my gasket surfaces, and when my timing set shows up, press those 2 pulleys on and start reassembly again. The block of wood is gonna stay there and help hold everything in place, because it's probably gonna be 2-3 days before I can get my hands on those parts that I need. So yeah, good feeling. Time to clean up my mess. A little trick I'm going to use to get my press fit cam gear on is this thing's been sitting outside. It's about 30 degrees, and I put the pulley inside the hot parts washer, so it should get up to about 200 degrees or so. So hopefully just slides right on, and you know, I might have to give it a little tickle, but hopefully not. I think it's so hot you can't touch stuff, so here's hoping. Whew, that is smoking hot. Yikes. I'm gonna try and do this and film at the same time. Oh, that is hot. Let me make sure I have the correct side out. There's my dot. Haha, I had it backwards. And now that we're inside, obviously, the gear is cooled off. The camshaft and the rest of the engine is warming up. And I found a 7/16 bolt, just threads right into the end of my camshaft. And I'm just using the bolt as an installer to get my pulley pulled back on. Pretty simple. And then I'm using this socket right here to prevent the gear from spinning, because as you can see right through there, those holes line up perfectly if you're gonna remove that camshaft end plate retainer. So anyway, get a little technical there, but that's what I'm doing. So this is keeping my gear from turning, and this is pushing my gear onto the camshaft. Cool, timing gears are on. You can see that the 2 dots line up with one another. A little bit of assembly lube. Everything is in place. We're ready for the timing cover to go on now, and then the oil pan. Yeah, progress feels good. Yeah, oil pan's in place. Front timing cover is sealed up, and making some good progress. So time to put the harmonic balancer on and get my motor mounts to slide back in where they belong, and get my transmission tightened back up where it belongs and drop down into the mounts, because everything is kind of pushed up and back in order to get the oil pan in and out of there. So yeah, progress. Love it. Love it. And this is to keep the sharp cotter pin from poking me and keep the grease off my arm. So nice. My wife and daughter dropped these off for me. Now I can keep going for hours. Woo! All right. More classic country music and wrenching. Top side now. Got a little bit of assembly lube on my 2 timing gears. Balancer is set at top dead center number 1, and I looked through here and I confirmed that both my valves are closed.
So put the distributor back in, and I marked which cylinder was number 1 on the cap, and then correlated another Sharpie mark on the distributor base down there. And I think I'm pretty close. When I stabbed that in there, everything seemed to fall in really, really nicely. So hopefully I'm not 1 tooth off, but I'll change it if I need to. The distributor is locked down. Everything is plugged in and checked. Spun an oil filter on, dumped in some fresh oil. I'm gonna fire this thing up without the fan blade on it and things like that, just to watch and make sure everything's good. We don't need an air cleaner just yet. So if I did everything correctly the first time, this thing should fire right up. Let's find out after I tighten down my cap. All right, here we go. Nope. Yeah, the one set of timing marks is for a timing light, and then this one uses the pointer. And I knew that too, I just forgot. Dumb mistake. So, distributor is restabbed, and everything should be timed correctly this time. Let's try it again. So, I think I know what I did wrong here. I was using the wrong set of timing marks on the crankshaft balancer. There's 2 of them, 1 for timing light and 1 for lining everything up top dead center. So redid that, restabbed my distributor, got everything lined back up, and should fire up this time. My service information that we use on our computers was not a help, because this thing they consider too old, and they didn't have that information or illustrations for me. So YouTube to the rescue again. All right, let's give it a shot. Here we go. High five. Well, I've got this truck all reassembled, and it's running awesome. The one problem is it's making a noise that I don't like. And I'm not talking about the exhaust manifold sound. It's done that this whole time, and I don't have plans to fix that. Not as of right now. Someday I'll probably fix that manifold. But anyway, the noise that it's making, it sounds maybe, I hope I'm wrong, it sounds maybe like my new aluminum cam gear is maybe rubbing on the front of the engine. Man, I would hate to have to take this thing all back apart again, especially if that's not actually what's going on. But to me, it sounds like 2 pieces making contact and rubbing the sound of crankshaft speed or maybe cam speed that shouldn't be making contact. And it wasn't making that noise at first, and as the engine warms up and runs a little while, the noise continues to get worse. Could I leave it and maybe it would self-clearance? I don't know. Maybe. It would go into the engine oil, but maybe I should just change oil and it'll be fine a week or a month from now. I don't know. But if that really is the case, I'm gonna have to take the oil pan back down, take the timing cover off, and then figure out a way to get those gears, both the cam and the crankshaft gears, slid forward. And there's no holes to get your puller in there, you know? That I busted the old one off. So, I really hope that's not my issue. But in installing those things, there's no backstop to tell you when to stop. So you could just continue to press both those gears on until you actually did make contact. And I didn't do that. I left a space, and I was just kind of estimating off of what my old gear was. I was able to get a screwdriver, a pry bar inside there, and bust the old one off. So, I don't know. Maybe they're that much wider and it's contacting the outside of the timing cover. I don't know. I'm gonna start it up again, see what you think. But I know the furnace keeps running too, so let's give this a shot. Well, good news, it's running. It's making that same exhaust tick that it always has. It's always had that exhaust sound to it. It sounds like maybe I have a little bit of a vacuum leak. I'm not sure. Let's take it for a quick spin. It's my ride home tonight, so yeah, let's see how it does.
thanks for coming along on this adventure. Things been running awesome ever since. And yeah, it does exactly what a simple, basic shop truck should do. Just inline six with a manual transmission, 2-wheel drive. It's perfect. And my sons love it. Even my 11-year-old daughter thinks it's the coolest thing ever, and she wants to drive this thing someday. So I think we'll keep it around. It made sense to fix it. Fairly inexpensive. I think I got done with it for about 150 bucks and, you know, about a day and a half worth of work. That's worth it to me. Thanks for sticking around through the entire episode. I appreciate you guys sticking around, doing all the things that help push our videos out further. The flannel flock rocks. It really does. Stay tuned. We have merch coming. We have stickers. We have t-shirts. We have more content coming up with Curtis Lowe, and exciting things happening with that. More trucking content's coming up as well. Mid-America Trucking Show is coming up soon. The 75 Chrome Shop Show is coming up soon. All kinds of stuff. So, yeah, check out other stuff on the channel. And, yeah, you know where to find me. I'm over at Instagram. I don't see the comments here on YouTube. It's @flannel_Philip. Peace and grease.